Pete Rose got banned from baseball.
Oh, I was around.
You were?
I was somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, I was probably playing Pee Wee something or other.
Pete Rose, new allegations. John and I are veterans on this Pete Rose.
Yeah.
Oh,
new allegations.
Taft?
Huh?
Are you going to the Taft, the talk?
I might go, yeah. I've seen
I'd
that
like to
show.
see
It's a
that.
good show.
Yeah?
It's a good show.
I'd like to see that.
But more allegations with Pete this week, and the fact that there is documentation apparently out there that ESPN acquired that shows that he bet while a player. I don't think that changes the narrative at all for Pete Rose, do you?
No, it doesn't for me. I've said before that I think the real dagger in the heart would be betting against his team, which is what Joe Jackson did. Unless Pete has done that, he's not totally dead. But we're talking about increments here because I think we all probably agree that reinstatement bid is a real long shot.
I think, you know, it's almost like, I don't think he ever works again in baseball. I just don't think that. I think that was a pipe dream from I don't know where. But I think what happens is I could see Manfred at some point say, like Pontius Pilate, I wipe my hands of this situation and I give him to the masses. And the masses, no offense, would be the baseball writers who would then decide whether or not he gets in. Now, there's some conjecture, would he go in front of the writers or the Veterans Committee? And I think you could make an argument for the writers, but it might be the Veterans Committee. But I think either way, he doesn't get in his lifetime. I think there's enough writers out there, and there's certainly enough members of that Veterans Committee that don't let him get into the Hall of Fame under any circumstances while he's still on this side of the grass.
They make it 75% for a reason. That's a very high threshold. 3 out of every 4 votes are necessary. The present Hall of Fame board believes the writers have had their shot because the 15-year window has told on Rose. He now goes before the Veterans Committee. As a baseball writer, I would argue we never got our shot.
Right.
He was never on our ballot. Let's get a shot at him. Even Joe Jackson was on the ballot for a while. He never got anywhere near enough votes, but at least he got considered by the writers.
You think there's 75% vote out there for Rose right now?
Heck no, not even among the veterans, because one thing I've concluded after watching these veterans every year, they don't want anybody in the Hall of Fame except them.
Right.
That's, I swear to God, that's the truth.
The old school baseball players, everybody who's really old school doesn't want him at all. They're still used to, they were old enough that when their dad told them about shooting Joe Jackson, and they know why the commissioner was brought into the game completely. I think younger writers think, what are you guys so worried about? He's not going to hurt anybody at this point, and he was one of the greatest players of all time.
But if there's not enough veterans there, okay?
Right. John, do you know, John, how that, I guess it would become up to the commissioner how he would be treated? Would he become a first-time ballot player, or would he have to go, do we even know how that would be treated?
15 years past.
Yeah, I mean,
well, but some of the rules are that you get 5 years or 15 years on the ballot, and then you're expired. But since he's never been on the ballot, I don't know if he's like a player who's just been out of the game for 5 years. I don't know.
I mean, I'll tell you what the present Hall of Fame board thinks is that he's had his shot because his clock ran with us while he was under suspension. He should have been on our ballot. He wasn't. He therefore goes before the Veterans Committee. I think you'll see an impassioned plea by the writers to get him on our ballot, but I don't think we get 75% either place because it's just so difficult to get 3 out of 4 votes. Matt's point is absolutely correct. The old guard doesn't want this guy in. The big issue isn't so much Pete, it's the 40 guys standing behind him on Hall of Fame induction day. If they can't get all those guys to come back, they're not going to put him on the ballot. There's somewhat of a demarcation line between baseball and the Hall of Fame board. It's a very blurry line. They're almost one and the same, but they do act independently, believe it or not.